My ex said, "Don't worry, I'm just crashing with my friend for a while." Now they're married. And guess who owns the venue they booked for their wedding? I couldn't sleep the night he said it. My ex, Ryan, 32 million, had just thrown a duffel bag over his shoulder, kissed my forehead like I was some kid's sister, and said, "Don't worry, babe, I'm just crashing with my friend for a while, just until I figure stuff out." That was 6 months ago. Now he's engaged to that friend, and they're getting married in October, at a venue I own. Let me rewind. I'm Lila, 30 degrees Fahrenheit. I run a small event space just outside Asheville. Stone courtyard, fairy lights, old converted barn that smells like wildflowers and fresh pine. It used to be my grandma's farmhouse. After she passed, I sank every dollar I had into turning it into a wedding venue. Blood, sweat, ugly crying into drywall. I built this place with my bare hands and broken heart. Ryan knew that. He helped lay tile in the bridal suite, painted the beams in the reception hall. He said it was our first project together. At the time, I thought he meant that in a romantic, future-building kind of way. But now, I think he just wanted free labor and bragging rights. We'd been together for almost 4 years. Met through mutual friends at a Halloween party. He was dressed as Han Solo. I was a slightly tipsy Cleopatra. He made me laugh so hard I snorted wine through my nose. And he said that was the moment he fell in love. "You're the only woman I've met who could make wine snorting look sexy," he used to say. Cringe now, right? It wasn't always bad. The first 2 years felt like a rom-com. Lazy mornings, shared playlists, his fingers tracing circles on my back while I fell asleep. He made pancakes shaped like hearts, brought me daisies from the grocery store just because. But then, things changed. It started small. He got more distant, always tired, always stressed. Phone flipped over during dinner, late nights at work. And when I asked gently if something was wrong, he'd smile that smile, the one that didn't reach his eyes anymore, and say, "I'm just overwhelmed, babe. Nothing to do with you." I told myself he was just in a slump, that maybe I wasn't being patient enough. Maybe if I cooked more, dressed nicer, laughed harder at his jokes. God, the mental gymnastics I did to avoid the truth. Until the day he packed a bag. "I need some space," he said, avoiding my gaze. "It's not you, I've been staying with Lauren for a bit. You remember Lauren from my old job?" Yes, I remembered Lauren too well. She was always just a friend, always conveniently single, always texting him late at night with funny memes and life updates. I once found a lipstick-stained coffee mug in his back seat. He said it was his sister's. His sister lives in Portland. I didn't scream, didn't cry. I just nodded. My throat felt like sandpaper. My chest, like someone had reached in and started slowly wringing out my heart like a sponge. That night, I sat in the empty living room, the echo of his footsteps still bouncing off the walls, and stared at the engagement ring I'd been hiding in my nightstand. I'd bought it a month earlier. Platinum band, sapphire center stone, his favorite color. He didn't know I'd been planning to propose. Turns out he was already planning his escape. After he left, I started noticing things. Not just about him, but about me. Like how I stopped playing music in the house, how the silence stretched like a rubber band pulled tight, how I kept checking my phone at 2 a.m. Like some part of me still expected him to text, "I miss you. I messed up." But it never came. What did come were Instagram stories. Ryan and Lauren at a brewery. Ryan and Lauren hiking. Ryan and Lauren at a lake house with friends. Her friends, I realized. He'd slipped into her life like a missing puzzle piece. The captions were unbearable. "So grateful for second chances. Sometimes the heart knows before the head does." Gag me. I kept scrolling, rage bubbling up like acid. It was like watching a rom-com where the villain wins. He didn't just leave me. He rewrote the narrative so that I was the footnote, the learning curve, the warm-up act for his main event. 3 weeks after he left, a mutual friend sent me a screenshot. It was a Facebook post from Lauren's profile. "So excited to marry my best friend Heart Eyes ring. Marry. Not date. Not seeing where this goes. Marry." 3 weeks after he told me he needed space, he was engaged to someone else. He must have been planning it before he even left. I threw up in the kitchen sink. Literally. Not out of drama, but because the betrayal felt physical. Like it had weight. Like my body needed to purge something poisonous. That night, I went to the venue. My venue. I walked into the main hall barefoot, wearing pajama pants and an old hoodie, and just stood there. The fairy lights were off. The chairs stacked, but I could still see every wedding we'd hosted, every couple who looked at each other like they'd won the universe. And I realized something. This place was filled with love. Mine wasn't. He never loved me. Not really. He loved the version of me that made his life easier. The caretaker, the cheerleader, the woman who ran a business and still had dinner on the table by 7. He didn't love me. He loved the perks of me. The next morning, I made a rule. No more checking his social. No more crying over someone who left me like I was an afterthought. I blocked his number, deleted old photos, and buried the ring under a potted plant. And for a while, I was okay. Not great, not healed, but breathing again. Then I got the email. Subject line: Booking inquiry. October wedding. I opened it absent-mindedly. Autumn was peak season, and nearly dropped my phone. Hi, I'm reaching out on behalf of my fiancé Ryan. We've heard amazing things about your venue and are hoping to book for October 14th if the date's still open. Lauren. They wanted my venue for their wedding. And here's the worst part. She didn't even recognize my name. I sat there staring at the screen, stunned. Heart pounding like a war drum. My hands were shaking. It felt like the universe was teeing up a choice, one that would define everything that came next. And I swear to God, in that moment, I smiled. I didn't reply right away. I stared at that email like it was a loaded gun. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, itching to type, "Go to hell," but I didn't. Instead, I clicked over to the calendar system. October 14th. Open. Wide open. That date had been canceled just last week by a couple who broke up during a seating chart argument. I'd felt bad for them then. Now I wanted to send them a fruit basket. I waited 2 days. Then I replied, "Hi, Lauren. Thank you so much for your interest in the Thistlewood. October 14th is currently available. I'd love to chat more about your vision and walk you through our package options. We're currently offering a discount for weekday tours. Would Friday at 2 p.m. work for you? Warmly, Lila Sanders." Yes, I used my full name. Yes, I made sure it was in the signature. I wanted her to know. I wanted him to see it. I wanted that moment of slow, dawning horror when he realized exactly whose venue he was walking into. Friday came. I wore my favorite black blazer, the one with the subtle floral lining that always made me feel like a boss. I even did my makeup, nothing dramatic, just enough to look like I wasn't falling apart. At 1:58 p.m., a white BMW pulled into the gravel lot. She got out first, slim, smiling, dressed like a damn wedding blog post. Then him, Ryan. He didn't see me right away. I watched from the window as he got out of the car, checked his phone, and laughed at something she said. He looked happy, relaxed. I hated how much that still hurt. Then he looked up. His smile dropped. I stepped out from the door of the reception hall, clipboard in hand, cool as ice. "Hi," I said, giving Lauren a polite nod. "You must be Lauren and Ryan. Welcome to Thistlewood." Lauren beamed. "You must be Lila. It's so beautiful here. Seriously, the photos don't do it justice." Ryan didn't say a word. His face was drained of all color. You could have painted ghosts with that complexion. I led them on a tour like it was just any other booking. The garden path, the fire pit, the dance floor where, just a year ago, he slow danced with me under the stars, drunk on cheap wine and promises. Lauren chatted nonstop. Color palettes, signature cocktails, whether she could bring in her own makeup artist. Ryan stayed behind, barely speaking, his hands jammed into his pockets. I pretended not to notice. Until the very end. We stood back in the main hall. I handed her a printed packet. "If you'd like to reserve October 14th, just shoot me an email with your deposit confirmation. It'll hold the date." She flipped through the pages, nodding. "Perfect. Oh, and just curious, did you guys go to school together or something?" She gestured between me and Ryan. "You look kind of familiar to each other." There it was. My moment. I turned to Ryan, locked eyes with him, and smiled. We were engaged. Her whole face shifted, smile cracking like a china plate hitting a stone floor. Ryan muttered, "Lauren, can we talk outside for a second?" But I wasn't done. Not yet. "I just wanted to say, congratulations," I said sweetly. "I hope your wedding is everything you dreamed of. And if you do decide to book, you're in luck." I pointed to the little quote on our pricing sheet. "All bookings are non-refundable." Lauren didn't say a word. She just stood there, packet in hand, blinking like I'd smacked her with it. Ryan had the audacity to look like he was the one who'd been ambushed, like I had crossed some invisible line by not fading quietly into irrelevance. He pulled her gently by the arm. "Let's go talk, okay?" They stepped outside, voices hushed, but through the glass door, I saw Lauren whip around, mouth moving fast, eyes wide, face flushed with betrayal. She pointed back toward me, then at the venue. Ryan tried to explain something, hands moving in defensive little circles, but she shook her head hard and stormed toward the car. She drove, left him standing in the gravel, staring at the door like maybe I'd changed somehow. I didn't move, just stood inside that reception hall, my hall, arms crossed, watching the man who left me for someone else get left himself. After a minute, he came back inside, alone. "Lila," he started. "Can we talk? I think you've said enough, Ryan." He flinched like I'd hit him. "I didn't know it was your venue. Lauren handled the planning stuff, I swear. That why you didn't speak the whole tour? Or because you were hoping I wouldn't recognize you?" I laughed bitterly. "Spoiler alert, you're unforgettable." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. I didn't plan for any of this." "Oh, you didn't plan to abandon me in the middle of our life together and shack up with your friend? That wasn't part of your 5-year plan?" I was shaking now, but not from fear, from the weight of everything I'd swallowed for months, finally rising to the surface. He sighed. It wasn't like that. Lauren and I, it just happened. Things with us weren't working, and spare me. My voice cracked. You could have said something, been honest. But instead, you lied, cheated, and then, what? Booked a wedding at the place I built after you left me. His eyes dropped. I didn't know until I saw your name. By then it was already, what? Too late? I took a step forward, my voice dropping to a whisper. You said you needed space. You said you were crashing with a friend. And now that friend has a ring and I've got an email asking about mimosa bar options. He looked like he might cry. Good. I shouldn't have come, he muttered. I didn't want it to end like this. Well, it did, I said, backing away. You should go. She's probably circling the block wondering if her fiancé is trying to book his ex again. He paused at the door, then turned. For what it's worth, I never stopped loving you. I smiled. Not kindly. You should have told your ring finger that. He left. And I stood there, heart pounding, head spinning, wondering what kind of sick universe hands you a breakup, a betrayal, and a front row seat to your ex's unraveling all in the same year. But here's the kicker. The next morning, I got another email. Hi, Lila. Following up on our visit, after some discussion, Ryan and I would still like to move forward with booking Thistlewood for October 14th. Let us know next steps. Best, Lauren. She wanted to book. She knew who I was, and she still wanted to have her fairy tale wedding on my turf, which means either she's too proud to back down, or she doesn't know what I'm about to do next. Because I said yes, I took their deposit. And now I own the stage for their happily ever after. Update 1. Y'all, I was not ready for the chaos this post unleashed. I knew it was juicy, but damn. First off, thank you for the DMs, the support, the "girl, please record the whole damn wedding" comments. I see you. Some of you suggested burning the venue down or faking plumbing issues. Tempting, but no. We're playing the long game here, so yes, they booked it. Full deposit, signed contract. October 14th, Ryan and Lauren will be standing in my barn, exchanging vows on my hardwood floor. Under the lights, I strung myself while sobbing over their engagement post. And I'll be there, not hiding, not watching from behind a tree. No, I'll be the on-site coordinator for that day. Clipboard in hand, headset on, perfectly polite and painfully composed. Why? Because this isn't about sabotage. It's about control. See, Lauren wanted the premium package. Floral arch, signature cocktails, sparkler send-off, custom neon sign. All curated by me. What she doesn't know? Every vendor is loyal to me. The florist? My college roommate. The caterer? My cousin? The DJ? My ex's best friend who cut him off after he cheated. I don't need to ruin their wedding. I just need to curate the vibe. Subtle things. The playlist will include Before He Cheats, the custom cocktails, the rebound, and second choice. The signature scent diffused through the hall, the same lavender cedar blend I wore every day when Ryan lived here. Let them smile. Let them toast. Because every photo will be taken under a sign that says, "Forever begins here." The same phrase Ryan engraved on the ring he left in my nightstand. And when she walks down the aisle, I'll be right there, holding the train of her dress, smiling. Because revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's about letting them think they've won, while standing on the ashes of what they burned. Let me tell you what sweet, quiet revenge really feels like. It's standing in the bridal suite, steaming Lauren's dress, while she gossips with her bridesmaids about how unbothered she is that her fiancé used to be engaged to the venue coordinator. Me, unbothered, as if I'm the drama. As if I didn't watch this man sneak out of my life and into hers with all the grace of a possum in heat. It's watching Ryan's face go pale when he sees me behind the bar confirming cocktail garnishes, realizing for the first time that I wasn't bluffing when I said I'd be coordinating their big day, that this wasn't a one-off tour, that this is my turf. And it's hearing the DJ test the mic by saying, "Check, check, 1, 2, cheaters to the left," while "Shout Out to My Ex" plays faintly in the background. Accidental? Maybe. Probably not. The prep leading up to the wedding was surreal. Vendors texting me, "Are we really doing this?" And me replying, "Oh, we're doing this." I didn't sabotage a thing. Not one. I delivered exactly what she paid for, just with the kind of artistic license that made every single piece of this wedding drip with irony. The custom cocktails? The rebound came in a whiskey tumbler, bitter and smoky. Second choice was pink and sparkly, sweet enough to rot your teeth. The neon sign she ordered? She sent a Pinterest reference that said, "Forever starts now." What got delivered? It was always you. Exact font. Just a different message. Still technically accurate. She never clarified who ordered it. Oops. The biggest moment though, God, I still think about it like it's a movie, was during the rehearsal dinner the night before. I was in the back, checking silverware when I overheard Lauren's maid of honor joking, What if Ryan pulls a Ross and says the wrong name? Everyone laughed, except Ryan. He went dead quiet, and that's when I realized something. He hadn't told her the full story. She didn't know I'd proposed to him, that he'd left days after I'd bought the ring, that I still had the receipt tucked in a drawer marked closure. So I decided to give them a moment, a little memento. The morning of the wedding, while Lauren was getting her makeup done, I left a small white envelope on the groom's prep table. No note, just the photo of the ring I had planned to give him, sitting on our windowsill with the date stamp, 1 week before he left. He found it around noon. I know because he stormed into the vendor's tent behind the barn, looking like he'd seen a ghost. His voice was low and desperate. "Why would you do that?" I looked up from my clipboard, all professionalism. "I thought you might want a reminder of the timeline." He ran a hand through his hair. "You don't have to do this. This whole thing, this twisted, passive-aggressive shit." I stepped closer, smiled. "Ryan, this is me being passive. Aggressive would have been telling her everything, or showing her your text from that night you left." His face froze. I continued, voice like silk over steel. "I'm not trying to ruin your wedding. I'm just giving it ambiance." And with that, I walked away, heels clicking like a drum roll toward disaster, because he knew, every second from then on, every glance at me, every smile he faked for photos, that I could blow the whole thing apart at any moment. But I wouldn't have to, because the truth? He was already crumbling, and the real chaos hadn't even started yet. They say karma's slow. I say it showed up in a white lace bodice with a 5-foot train, screaming in the middle of cocktail hour. It started with the slideshow. Lauren had requested a cute, rustic photo montage of her and Ryan over the years. First date selfies, engagement shots, vacation pics. The DJ had a setup on a screen just beside the sweetheart table. She wanted it timed right before the toasts. Classy, romantic, basic Pinterest fluff. But remember, the DJ? My friend. And he asked me a question a week before the wedding. "Hey, do you want me to run the original slideshow? Or the one you labeled version 2? I said, "Play the truth." So when the lights dimmed and the music swelled, the crowd got the first few photos of happy couple nonsense, until a slide blinked onto the screen with a timestamp. October 6th, 10:42 p.m. Lila's living room. It was a picture of Ryan asleep on my couch, fully clothed, but definitely mine. 1 week before he left. Another photo, him brushing flour off my nose as I rolled out pie dough, his hands on my waist. Then came a selfie, us in bed, laughing, shirtless but not obscene, just real, raw, untouched. Me, grinning with a chipped tooth and messy hair. Him, eyes closed, forehead against mine. And then the final image, a close-up of the ring I bought, resting on his chest while he slept, time-stamped, 3 days before he left. The room went dead silent. Not shocked, not confused, just stunned. Lauren stared at the screen like it had sucker-punched her. Ryan stood up so fast he knocked over his chair. The murmur started low, confused voices, gasps. Someone whispered, "Wait, was that his ex?" And then Lauren turned to me, full fire, dress billowing, eyes wild. "You vindictive bitch!" She lunged across the table. I barely flinched. One of the groomsmen caught her just before she grabbed a fistful of my hair. "You planned this," she shrieked. "You ruined my wedding." "No," I said calmly, brushing invisible lint from my blazer. "He ruined it. I just curated the reveal." She rounded on Ryan, tears streaking down her airbrushed face. "Is that true? Did you sleep with her before you left me?" He tried to talk, hands out like surrender. "Lauren, it's not what it looks like," but it was. Exactly what it looked like. And she knew it. She took off one shoe, just one, and hurled it at his head. It missed, barely. Then she stormed out, veil dragging behind her like a war banner. I watched it all from the edge of the tent, arms crossed. No smile, no gloating, just silence. Because sometimes revenge isn't a slap or a scream. Sometimes it's the slow unraveling of someone else's carefully curated lie, and watching it collapse, one image at a time. Update 2. Okay, so I thought the reception meltdown was the finale. Turns out I was wrong, because 3 days after the wedding that wasn't, Ryan showed up at the venue, unannounced, uninvited, holding a goddamn bouquet of sunflowers. My favorite, he looked like a walking apology. Shirt wrinkled, hair a mess, eyes red like he hadn't slept. "I just need 5 minutes," he said, voice hoarse. Now, full disclosure, I almost didn't let him in, but curiosity won. That, and I had my maintenance guy Dave in the back, who bench presses truck engines for fun. Ryan walked in, looked around like he was stepping into a church. "It wasn't supposed to go like this," he started. I panicked. I didn't know how to leave the right way. I just stared, let him fill the silence. He kept going. "She pressured me, Lauren. After I moved in, she made it all sound so perfect, stable, successful, everything I thought I wanted. But I couldn't stop thinking about you." I laughed, sharp and hollow. You thought about me while you moved your toothbrush into her bathroom? He flinched. Deserved? Then he said it. If I'd just stayed, if you'd given me a sign, maybe things could have been different. I swear I blacked out for a second. A sign? I looked him dead in the eyes and said, Ryan, I bought you a ring. I was the sign. He went quiet, set the flowers on the floor, and left. Haven't heard from him since? Lauren, on the other hand, sent a one-line email yesterday. I'll be posting a Yelp review. Letter. Because if there's one thing I've learned from this whole messy, poetic, beautiful disaster, it's this. Love doesn't need an audience, but revenge deserves 5 stars. The Yelp review dropped 2 days later. 1 star. Caps lock. Full meltdown. The venue coordinator ruined my wedding day by inserting herself into personal matters and manipulating my slideshow to humiliate us in front of friends and family. Highly unprofessional. Beware if you value your privacy or your dignity. It got 23 upvotes in the first hour. People thought it was satire. Someone commented, sounds like the plot to a Netflix series, would watch. Another asked, do y'all offer popcorn for these events? I didn't respond, but I screenshotted it, printed it, and pinned it to the corkboard in the vendor lounge under the heading, Best in Show. Because here's the thing, she wasn't wrong. I did insert myself. Not out of spite, not because I'm some jealous ex lurking in the shadows. I did it because no one ever tells the truth about how breakups really happen, how people move on while you're still bleeding, how you can invest everything into someone, build a life together, and still get tossed out like expired milk. Ryan got to craft his clean version of the story. I just gave it back to him, unedited. But the fallout? Oh, it was just beginning. Word spread, not just through friend circles, but through industry ones. Caterers gossiped. Photographers whispered. A rival venue actually thanked me for the entertainment. I even had a potential client mention it during a tour. Are you the one from the wedding post? I froze, unsure how to play it. But then she grinned. I loved it. Honestly, iconic. We definitely want to book with you. Bookings doubled the next 2 weeks. And then, like fate had been waiting patiently in the wings, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. But the handwriting, I knew it. It was Ryan's mom. We'd only met twice, but I remembered her. Silver hair, stern posture, the kind of woman who could slice you open with a look. She'd always been distant with me, but polite, formal, like she was reserving judgment until the stock price came in. The letter was short. Leela, I don't condone what my son did. I didn't know, but I read everything, saw the photos. I wish things had gone differently. For what it's worth, I always thought you were the better woman. It wrecked me. I sat at my kitchen table and cried harder than I had since the day he left. Not because I missed him, but because someone finally said what I'd been screaming in my own head for months. You weren't crazy. You weren't wrong. You just got burned. But here's the part no one tells you. Sometimes fire forges something better, and mine was still burning. It's been 6 weeks since the wedding imploded, and I mean that literally. Imploded. Because last I heard, Lauren moved back to her sister's condo in Charlotte, and Ryan is living in a sublet above a vape shop with bad water pressure and worse karma, according to a mutual acquaintance. People keep asking if I feel vindicated. I don't. I feel clean. There's this weird kind of peace that comes after you stop pretending someone didn't hurt you. Like when you finally exhale after holding your breath underwater for too long. That's what this has been. One long, painful resurfacing. But here's what I didn't expect. A wedding inquiry came in last week. Just a normal email from a couple in their 30s. Said they'd heard great things about Thistlewood. Wanted to tour. Nothing dramatic. I almost passed it to my assistant, but something nudged me to handle it myself. We met Tuesday. Their names were Joy and Marcus. Second marriage for both. She wore no makeup, just a blue flannel and scuffed Vans. He called her Babe when she teased him for forgetting their anniversary last year. They held hands like it was oxygen. They asked real questions, not about signature cocktails or hashtag walls, but about logistics, budget, accessibility for his dad's wheelchair. They didn't want fireworks. They wanted a taco truck and a campfire. And before they left, Joy said, "This place feels honest." I almost cried on the spot, because that's the part Ryan never saw. The part Lauren tried to rent out. The heart of this place wasn't built from Pinterest boards. It was built from grief, from growth, from choosing to believe in love again, even when it breaks you. So yeah, let them tell their version. Let Yelp scream. Let the gossip flow like champagne. I'm still here, still standing, still rebuilding. And when the next wedding happens at Thistlewood, it'll be one that knows what love really looks like. Not the filtered version, the forged one. From ash, from betrayal, from truth. Because if I've learned anything, it's this. The best revenge is surviving beautifully